and how's it going, everybody? It is Skullzi here with the latest and the greatest gaming news. The news I have for you today is a major update on the Elder Scrolls 6 Redfall trademark dispute situation. If you're not familiar with this situation, I actually have a separate update on another video here in a channel that I did a couple days ago. I bring you all up to date with this situation, including another small update in that video. I highly suggest you watch that video or at least skim through it before going forward with watching with this one. That way you can be 100% caught up and in the know with this situation, because today's video is a somewhat major update. But as always, I'm going to give you a very brief summary to the situation before going forward if you don't have time to watch that entire video. So essentially what happened is last year, ZeniMax and thus Bethesda Game Studios filed a trademark for something known as Redfall. This Redfall trademark is almost certainly connected with the Elder Scrolls 6 through a lot of investigative stuff that I've done within ZeniMax's trademark filings, as well as some other awesome stuff that the community has done as well. But we can almost guarantee that this Redfall trademark is connected to the Elder Scrolls franchise and the Elder Scrolls 6. Fast forward a little bit, and an author and a book publishing company who have a book series known as Redfall, which is based on a post-apocalyptic situation and obviously nothing to do with whatever the Elder Scrolls would ever have to do with, actually filed a dispute against ZeniMax for the rights to this Redfall trademark, because the author actually had the book series long before ZeniMax filed this Redfall trademark, and he fears that if they get the entire rights to the Redfall trademark and name, that ZeniMax may stop him from allowing him to sell his books and maybe even make a movie. ZeniMax finally responded to this trademark dispute situation, and both the author and ZeniMax agreed to have settlement discussions separate from the ongoing court case that the US Patent and Trademark Office is actually doing right now, because if they can't come to any sort of settlement discussion, they have to go through a very lengthy process, and the US Patent and Trademark Office would eventually have to decide who wins this situation. It's in the author's best interest to try to get this resolved as quickly as possible, but it's actually in ZeniMax's best interest to prolong this as long as possible, because the longer they have before this is resolved, that gives them even more time to have a viable product and even more evidence on their side in this situation, because even though the author and the book publishing company have this Redfall book series long before ZeniMax even filed the Redfall trademark, these situations aren't quite that simple, and it's usually whoever has the most evidence that ends up winning. So you can see why it's in ZeniMax's best interest here to keep this situation going. And that brings us to today's video, because they're actually on the second extension to the settlement discussions. Usually each settlement discussion gives them about 30 days, and the fact that they had to extend this 2 times and the second extension is almost finished is a very clear sign that ZeniMax and the book author probably aren't seeing eye to eye and agreeing on any of the terms on the table. I'm sure that ZeniMax doesn't want to allow the book author to have the rights to make a movie with the Redfall name, because who knows what ZeniMax's plans are for the Redfall property, and ZeniMax probably doesn't even know themselves. If Elder Scrolls 6 Redfall ends up doing very, very well, maybe they want to make a movie or a show about it, and if the author has the rights to the movie, ZeniMax won't be able to do that, and they would lose on a lot of money for their product. So ZeniMax, knowing how they are in these types of situations, based on the past, probably are playing hardball here and are just trying to extend the situation as long as they can, because that's today's update. They just filed another extension. But don't worry, we're going to go through this information together, because as always, I'm going to record my screen. That way you can see that my bullshit capacity meter is always running at 0%, and that way you can look this information up to verify it for yourself if you choose to. And we're going to start our adventure right here at our old friend, the Redfall trademark. As I said in my other video a couple days ago, the second extension to their settlement discussions actually expires today, and I looked into the situation to see if they have any resolution, because like I said, one of two things could happen. Either they can extend this another time, which is what I most likely assumed would happen, seeing how that's in ZeniMax's best interest, or the other option, which was the one that we all would hope to happen but obviously isn't, is to where they can come to an agreement and this situation can be resolved. But it looks like a third extension is happening. I don't know how many they can get. I know when it comes to the actual trademark situation, for a company to show the US Patent and Trademark Office that they have a viable product, they can get 5 6-month extensions when they originally file a trademark, but that is a completely different situation. But I bring that up because maybe they get 3 to 5 extensions to these settlement discussion extension situations as well. I'm not sure about that. My guess is maybe they're only allowed 3, but the US Patent and Trademark Office has allowed 5 extensions for other types of things, so maybe the number is 5. Either way, I'm sure the author is kind of pissed off about this, because if we look at the actual preceding documents to do with the settlement discussion and a trademark dispute, we can see that the most recent thing that happened, which actually was yesterday, May 17th, was that a third extension was granted, and it's the same documents that have been filed in all of these other extensions here. All these extensions go as far back as March 19th, and now it's May 18th, and they're still doing this settlement extensions. You can see right here, this new extension is going to go until June 17th, and the reason for it are parties are engaged in settlement discussions. The same thing it says in all of these other documents. These documents may as well have just be copy-pastes of one another with no new information in them, because they all essentially say the same exact thing. You can see this is the newest one here, to do with the May 17th extension filing, and it's pretty much word for word all these other trademark extension documents say. Now, like I've said in other videos, I'll reiterate this on this again. I don't think it's in ZeniMax's best interest to resolve this anytime soon. You can see that they just keep filing for extension. That's going to be, by the point that this third extension is over with, 90 total days for ZeniMax and a book author to sit down and come to some sort of agreement. 90 days! That's 3 months. That's almost an entire season, and they can't come to a freaking agreement. I mean, I'm sure over this 90-day, even though it's only been 60 days, eventually it will be 90 days, I'm sure over this 90-day period of time that they've at least been able to sit down and talk a few times. So the only clear conclusion we can make is that they're not agreeing on the terms on the table. I'm sure the author isn't budging when it comes to wanting to make the rights to his movie, and I'm sure ZeniMax may not be budging when it comes to giving him the rights to make the movie as well. I'm sure this movie thing is the main reason this thing keeps being extended. I've reached out to the author to try to get any update on this, and he's being quiet to everyone. Ever since the situation happened, he's kind of been silent on it, which I don't blame him, because even though he made this very clear and awesome post on his website about not wanting to cause any trouble for ZeniMax and just wanting an assurance that he can keep making his book series and eventually make a movie, he doesn't want any money or anything. Even though he says this publicly, he's been getting trolled and been getting a lot of hate from the Elder Scrolls community and just that bad part of the gaming community as well. You know that part I'm talking about. But I'm sure that he's just trying to play quiet now, keep his head under the radar, and hopefully get this situation resolved without a lot more drama happening. But it seems like ZeniMax is just going to keep extending the situation. Even though the author is agreeing to the extension, I don't blame him. It's in his best effort maybe to get this resolved without going to the US Patent and Trademark Office, because as we can look here in some of these documents, if ZeniMax and the author can't come to some sort of agreement during these settlement discussions, this process is going to get drawn out as far as 2020, November 18th, 2020, pretty much 2021. That means this is like a 2 to 3 year process. So you can see why the author would agree to these settlement extensions, because even though he may know that ZeniMax is just fucking with him a little bit when it comes to extending these, even though he knows they're just trying to buy as much time as possible, he's probably hoping for that eventually they will come to some sort of agreement before this actually gets drawn out as far as 3 freaking years. Now, before you say anything, like I've said in previous videos, no, don't worry, I don't think that this situation could harm the progress of the Elder Scrolls 6 at all, because we all know that Starfield is Bethesda's next major project, and the Elder Scrolls 6 is on the back burner, probably in pre-production right now. And this trademark dispute has to do with pretty much only the name of the Elder Scrolls 6, so I'm sure that Bethesda, even if they had to, can easily change the name, change any marketing material that they have to do with the Redfall name, and just go with the new name, which may as well just be Redguard or Hammerfell or something along those lines by this point. But the summary of this video is we are on a third extension to these settlement discussions between ZeniMax and the author over who gets the rights to the Redfall name. This third extension is a very, very clear sign that these settlement discussions aren't going well, and who knows what the future holds in this situation. Eventually, this could lead to a fourth extension, or hopefully a resolution to the situation where both parties are happy, or maybe eventually this situation could get drawn out as long as 2021. But as always, what I want to know is, what do you have to say about all of this? Let me know down in the comments below, and if your comment wins the internet and make it featured in a future video. Don't forget to subscribe to stay in the know when it comes to the latest and the greatest gaming news. Follow me over on Twitter for the latest channel updates and random stuff about me. Come over to the channel Discord chat server where there is always an awesome and active conversation taking place. And if you want to have your hand in providing future content and getting access to unique and awesome awards, then consider subscribing to the community on Patreon or joining the channel here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. Links for all of these things are down in the description below, as well as a link for Loot Drop, the official Skullzi merchandise site over on Teespring. Be sure to check it out to get yourself a bullshit capacity meter t-shirt to let everyone know that your bullshit capacity meter is always running at 0%. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when the year is 2077. No sign of the Elder Scrolls 6 is in sight, and these settlement discussions are still being extended. All hope is lost. Where is Todd Howard?
Bye, have a great time.